I've got a 65 amps London here, and it came into me with a couple of issues. On the color channel on the right, which is the one I'm plugged into now, it had a hum, and that hum was because it had an unbypassed cathode for the EF86, and their boost switch, which you can see there, was putting that cathode bypass cap in and out for a gain increase. And yeah, it did give a gain increase, but also meant that it only was usable with the gain increased because it otherwise had a hum. So I changed that circuit with a little foot switchable PCB I developed, which gives a gain increase but leaves the cathode of the tube always bypassed so it doesn't hum. And this is what that sounds like now. And that is adjustable. There's a knob on the back. Let's leave that off for right now. Now, this channel has some similarities to that 62 AC15 you heard in the SG videos, and there's going to be a full video on that 62 AC15 as well. But it is not the same. They did some variations, some of which affect gain, and the output of this amp in some ways is more like the 18 watt Marshall. So there's a little bit of overlap. I'm not nuts about the tone circuit that they use in this, which is just a passive high-end roll-off. You can almost just use the tone in your guitar for the same thing. It's a little bit different because you, when you use it on your guitar, you change the resonant peak of the pickup. And so you're coloring how the preamp will react to a different signal coming from the guitar, rather than just rolling off the highs after the preamp. But it's relatively subtle, just for taming the overall highs. It's got this color switch, which is a 5-way position for bass roll-off. So here's full. And I don't think that this 6-position switch is all that useful because you get so much subtlety. I think position 6, maybe 3 or 4, and 1 are where you're gonna really hear the difference. I don't think you're gonna really hear much between 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, etc., like that. So I think it's a little bit of a marketing switch. So we'll come back to that channel in a little bit with some humbuckers. This is a Strat. And let's go to the Vibrato channel, which is derived from the 18 watt Marshall 1974X. And you have volume, tone, a different tone circuit than the one on the color channel. You've got intensity and speed for the tremolo, which I'll get to, and then a cut control just like on a Vox. And I've got it set just a little bit brighter than middle. So here's what the channel sounds like. it's much more like you expect a tone circuit to work in, say, a 5E3, where it gets brighter as you turn it up and gets darker as you turn it down. The tone on the color channel just gets darker as you turn it down. There's no boost. Now, in stock form, the tremolo popped terribly when you turned it on and off, which is something that can happen with the Marshall 1974X as well. So I changed the way that the tremolo was implemented. It's foot switchable. There's also a front panel control for it. That doesn't pop or click when you turn it on and off now, which is nice. It also pretty much instantly comes on, which is nice. That's another issue the stock tremolo had. So now let me change to something with some humbuckers and see how this amp does with a little more push, because that's the selling point of this amp. Okay, haven't changed the settings from the last thing you heard with the Strat. So here's the SG neck. And the cleans. And here's the EF86 channel. That's color on 6, so thinnest neck pickup. filter there. I'm not carrying. There's a little little buzzy thing following the note that I'm not a huge fan of. That might be this particular EF86. I'm gonna look into that. And I don't think it's in the output. Easy way to test that. Getting a good EF86 is always tricky. Fizz isn't there on this channel. That fizz isn't there on that channel. That's not my favorite character. But there's just that fizz riding the note on this channel. I'm not really caring for it. And that's not a flaw of the circuit. It should not be happening. It's not lead dress. I think it's just the EF86. There's not a lot of subtlety to the color. You know, 1 through 3 are almost indistinguishable. 4 and 5 are almost indistinguishable. Then 6 you get a big jump down. So I think I might tweak that for a little more difference between 6 and 5. In reality, I just think that is a limitation of any of these 5 and 6 position high-pass filters that you also find in matchless, because capacitors only come in certain values, and the way that the high-pass circuit works, the capacitance pretty much goes in big jumps, or you end up with something so subtle that, again, you can make 5 right in between 6 and 4. But in practice, you don't need 5 then. You just need 4, or you need 6. So I think these should all be either 3 position switches, like really full, a little bit of tight bass, and a really tight bass, or you should just do it as a resistor varying a capacitance, limiting the current through a capacitor, so then you can get actual range from full to bright and get all the in-between stuff. So I'm not a huge fan of this design. 65 did it here. Matchless has done it quite a bit. People tend to find 1 or 2 things that they like and use them, and that's okay. So that's what that amp does, and hope you find this interesting. A lot of talk about these amps over the internet, on the forums over the years. Not a lot of people seem to have actually had some playing time with them. It's a well-made amp. I think it had some design flaws, some of which it inherited from the Marshall 18 watt, and some of which it's possible that when they first designed this, they were using a really good quality maybe RFT or Tungsram EF86 that did not hum with the cathode unbypassed. But most EF86s that are still available will hum with an unbypassed cathode. So the stock boost switch on the color channel, which is not very useful. Plus now the amount of boost is variable. So that's nice. All right, so this is inside
that 65 amps London. And you can see this added circuit here. This is a little DC supply I built up because it had an unused secondary on the power transformer that I was able to get 5 volts DC from cleanly without affecting anything else, which allowed me to add this card in here to take this pot in and out. This is the new boost, since the old boost was just bypassing this cap or not, and when it was unbypassed, sorry, not this cap, this resistor, this cathode resistor, and when it was unbypassed, yeah, you didn't have a boost, but you had a hum at all times. So that's all been redone, and as much as possible to still at factory. The amp is overall very clean. I think that the original wiring was very good. I think they copied Marshall's mistake on the 18-watt tremolo, the 1974X, which I have rectified. And I undid the humming and gave a variable boost, which is still foot switchable, which is nice. And I have, since the previous video, or the earlier part of this video, I have changed what those values are for the rotary position, which gives more usable changes, more audible changes. So just a second, I'll show that. Okay, so I've got it set to the fullest lows. So that's the lowest. So now you hear a change pretty much from all of them, though some of them are subtle. But if you use it as, you know, so instead of going to there, you skip 2. You get a real usable change. So I think that's an improvement over stock. I gotta stop there for the night, but I'm really pleased with how that came out. And you know, the amp is otherwise sound really good. I think the owner can play around some different EF86s, find the one that sounds the best. May not have that fizz, but that fizz is just part of the tube. So there's only so much I can do without redesigning the entire amp.